Pretty nice, huh? Congratulations. They needed somebody serious to conduct this interview. Mike, I've known you forever. You were always so good to me, letting us do our silly stories. The time you had to apologize to the Seahawks because you had told them Pluto was a planet. Remember, you felt terrible. But that was all make-believe. This is genuine, and 54 years of marriage right here, people. So how did all this start? And by that question, I mean, how did you two start?
You know, we 54 years we've been married. And at the age of 12, we both had cabins in the Santa Cruz Mountains in a church camp. And I think I proposed to her, so it should be 64 years. But she said no. And she wanted to carry on with her medical stuff, and I was doing my football stuff. And then we kept, she went to school in San Jose, and I was in San Francisco, so we kept in touch, but it was kind of a hit and miss thing for a long time. I went to college in Los Angeles. She went to college in Chicago. And then when I thought it was my chance to propose again, she left for Africa right after graduation as a nurse in the Congo. And then I had my football thing. When she came back, I popped the question. And fortunately, she said yes that time. So,
persistence. All right, so that's the guy's story. What really happened?
No, he was pretty honest about that. But it was a summertime romance for 10 years. And I had my thing, he had his thing, and they really didn't mesh. Missionaries were my heroes when I was a little kid, and I always wanted to go to Africa and be a nurse, and I got to do that.
How did that actually begin? What was the first trip? What was the inspiration?
Well, I went as a short-termer. Our church had a mission in the Congo, which was right on the equator where we were, and I stayed for almost a year, wondering if, well, when I went, I didn't know what was going to happen back home. He had a tryout with a professional team. When I got home, you know, was he going to still be there? And yes, he was. He picked me up at the airport, and the rest is history.
It seems like he was on board from the beginning. So you're coaching football. You saw the love from your players that had to touch you quite a bit. What then inspired you to say, I'm going to do more? The football's football, but I'm going to do some more things.
well, I think Kathy had a lot to do with that, honestly. Medical Teams International, which was talked about earlier, she gave the invocation at the first auction. I couldn't go because I'm in the season, and believe it or not, coaches' hours are crazy, and I wasn't home a lot. But I got to go the next year when they had the auction in the baseball stadium. And as I walked to the auction, the silent auction, down to the field, they had examples of different countries where medical teams had people. And it's amazing. It was startling to me. And then every 20 seconds, a red light would flash. And that indicated that some little kid in those places, it was over. And right then, I really always appreciated what she did, but it really hit home. And fortunately, after I retired, I was able to go on a couple of trips with her. You saw some of the pictures, and it just hit home. And as a head football coach in the NFL, you get a lot of juice poured at you. And it's important to understand that there are a lot of folks that really need your help in some way. It doesn't always have to be a big flamboyant thing, but in some way, if you can help one kid or other kids, then do it. And that's what hit me. Kathy helped me.
And now your names are attached to Paul Allen for the award for whom is named. And we know what he did. He saved the team, kept it here, and did so many other philanthropic things. What does it mean to you personally to get this award?
Well, you know, I'm so thankful that Paul Allen invited Mike to come and coach the Seattle Seahawks. I think when I got here, my children were grown and the youngest was in college, that my time going overseas and doing any kind of mission work was over. And yet, as his reputation grew, he had an amazing platform to just celebrate those things that I was so involved in and loved so much. I went on a trip and saw what they did, and I was hooked. He got hooked, and I would say sports, the Seahawks, the wonderful city of Seattle has been a wonderful platform for him to be able to share all of these wonderful causes that we've been involved with.
No, I couldn't agree more. Thanks. Thank you. When I went to the Cleveland Browns as president, I got to sit in the meetings with the owners. And I realized then, I always kind of knew it, but I realized then, Paul Allen, I was so fortunate. Every coach who worked here under Paul was so fortunate because he was the best owner in the game, honestly. Because, no, really. And he, he'd come in and he'd go, Mike, how much money are you going to cost me now? And I'd say, well, we got to sign this player. At the end of the meeting, he'd always say, what more can I do for you? How can I help? And he was a good man. And I have to tell you one quick story. We came in after a win in the last 30 seconds at home. Paul had by the door, he had 3 friends. He'd shake hands with every player that came in the locker room. And I'm usually the last one off the field. I was so pumped. I know it's hard for you to believe now. I'm very calm. But I was so pumped that he came in, he went to shake my hand, and I just grabbed him by the shoulders and started shaking him, saying, was that the greatest thing? And then I realized all the color was coming out of his face down here. And I said, oh boy, I scared him. And I started fixing his shirt and then he clicked in and he realized what I was doing. And he gave me a noogie. Wham! He hits me. And he goes, yeah, But he was the best. And you guys are the best. Listen, Seattle's the best. It is.
All right. I'm going to leave first so you two can get the applause you deserve. Congratulations, the Paul Allen Award.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.